I recently reconnected with an ex-girlfriend. We are about to go on a first date. However, I'm nervous to reveal I'm now best friends with her controlling ex. 10 years ago I Seth 37M met my now good friend Leland 37M under not so ideal circumstances. I was married to a controlling and manipulative woman named Madison. Madison and Leland were co-workers, and she got the hots for him. Instead of divorcing me, or just cheating behind my back, she decided it would be easiest on her conscience to force me into an open relationship and swinging. We ended up swinging with Leland and his then-girlfriend Cara 31F now. It went badly and all the relationships ended in turmoil. What happened after was I began a relationship with Cara that lasted about 8 months. At the same time, Leland and Madison forced a toxic relationship with each other for about 2 years. During that 2 years, Leland came to realize that he was his own worst enemy and not a good person at all. He has spent years since becoming a better person and truly has changed to be someone I think everyone he now meets admires. We ended up working at the same place about a year into his transformation. I was his boss. It was tense and awkward at first, and he has told me more than once he wanted to run away and quit. He didn't though and stuck it out because he wanted to prove that he was a person of good character, especially to someone he wronged to the level he had wronged me. This all came to a head when Madison resurfaced and tried to get me fired from my job. I'm not sure she would have succeeded anyway, but Leland stood up for me and proved that Madison was being vindictive. This made my dealings with HR quick and painless. We continued to work together for another 5 years. We had begun to become friendly with each other prior to Madison's stunt. After that it was a slow process, but we began to converse more and more at the office. Got beers after work together. This just grew until we became good friends. Before long, Sundays were spent together watching the Browns lose. I was a groomsman in his wedding 3 years ago, and this past June we both made the trip to the Chase Center to watch the GOAT's final game at the age of 49. This past year I got a huge promotion and am now a VP. This one came with a relocation to Phoenix, Arizona. Leland, who had been promoted to director of a different department 2 years ago, was moved back to replace me, much to the delight of the staff. We have kept in touch and he is actually going to come visit me when the Browns play at the Cards next month. We figure we gotta get this in as his wife Kinley 34F is 3 months pregnant now with their first child, and road trips are probably going to be few and far between once that baby comes. Last week, I was out for a run through the local park near my house. I spot this hot mom in the distance running towards me pushing a jogging stroller. Nike Pros, sports bra. I'm not joking. I literally have the thought that I haven't seen anyone make sportswear look that good since Cara. As we get closer, I come to realize that the universe really is trolling me. Hot mom is Cara. We both stop running and stare at each other dumbfounded. She says, "Seth, oh my God, what are you doing here?" as she walks up and gives me a hug. I can't believe it. We strike up a conversation. We had kind of fallen out of touch. I am still on social media and had noticed a few years earlier that she disappeared from everything. When I asked about that, she said, "I just felt like it was too much of a distraction. I was wasting a lot of time doom scrolling, so dropped all of them. I started a Facebook. I don't have FB, just to kind of chronicle Jacob's life, but I don't do much on socials otherwise. It was mostly a quick checkup. She is a single mom. I moved here for work, etc., etc. We exchanged phone numbers and each went back to our respective runs. We have been talking all week, almost non-stop. I have those butterflies all over again, just like I did all those years ago. After she graduated and we broke up, she got a job in a hospital around Cleveland. When she started a new relationship, we became more distant, which is to be expected. I knew that relationship ended thanks to social media, and that the one with Jacob's father Brad 34 began. It was shortly after she started dating Brad that she dropped her socials. Brad was a young surgeon then. They dated for 2 years. Brad was not someone who enjoyed Cleveland. He was born and raised there, but was tired of being there. He began applying for positions around the country. When he got the offer to come to Phoenix, he asked Cara to move with him. They would be moving in together, and the plan was to take their relationship on to the next level, ultimately marrying. Cara said the issues started almost immediately upon moving in together. It wasn't any one thing that either was doing, they just were not compatible cohabitating. There were more fights. She said all his little things were magnified, and she knows all her little annoyances were the same for him. After a little more than a year, they decided to call it quits. Cara got an apartment and was moved out about 2 weeks when she figured out she was pregnant. This part has been as drama-free as possible. She tells me Brad was excited to be a dad. They briefly talked about whether they should give it another shot. They chose not to, agreeing they could be friends but not husband and wife. Which has been true. Cara says they are very friendly and talk regularly. They have a good custody agreement, splitting evenly. Jacob does 2 weeks with Cara and 2 weeks with Brad. They got holidays figured out, celebrated his first birthday together, and Brad even made a big deal out of Cara's first Mother's Day, which she then reciprocated come Father's Day. Brad has just gotten engaged to someone, and Cara says the future stepmom seems like a good person. I have been telling her almost everything about myself since our breakup. How I've moved up the corporate ladder, and that's how I ended up here in Phoenix. I've been a serial dater, not really by choice. My longest relationship in this span is about a year, but I've been in brief relationships about 8 other times. I was fine for the first 2 to 3 years after Cara and I broke up. Well, not really fine, but I was getting over Madison then, and getting my mind right. But the last 6 to 7 years, when I really started to feel like myself, and was ready to find the one, I have mostly just been kicking myself for letting Cara go in the first place. This, I'm sure, has been a reason for my inability to find a long-term meaningful relationship. We have a date for this Saturday night. It's Brad's time with Jacob, but she is meeting up with them to take Jacob to a trunk or treat at the hospital they both work at. Afterwards, we're going on our first date. This is where my problem arises, and maybe it's not even a problem. I could very well be overthinking this. I haven't mentioned Leland at all. Didn't he tell her about us working together, or Madison trying to get me fired, or that he is essentially my best friend now? It may be a little selfish on my part. I'm just not sure how to bring it up, or if I should. I know he was bad to her, but that was a long time ago, and he really is a totally different person now. I just don't want to screw this up. I have been dreaming about reconnecting with her for years now. I'm afraid if I tell her too early, she will cut out of the relationship before it can even start. I also don't necessarily want this to be a topic during our date. I know I need to say something soon. It's just hard not knowing what the outcome would be.